What's up, you guys? So today I am doing another original household. Usually on my channel I like to make over my older Sims that I made before I started my channel, and alongside that I also like to give them a little bit more lore and or characterization. But anyway, today is a new household, and by household I mean more than one Sim, so basically plural. I decided to do the trope of the wine mom who has a son that she basically hates because she hates men in general. This sounds like a very specific and very niche kind of trope from the way that I described it, but I'm basically referring to the wine mom trope. The specific idea to make a household in The Sims that falls under this specific trope has been looming in my mind for like the past 2, maybe almost 3 months. So now I'm finally connecting on that, and y'all, I'm literally obsessed with this household. Like, the Sims are so gorgeous, like the lore is so deep, almost kind of rich, sort of kind of not really, because it's basically like a TV trope, so it's like not that deep, but also like, I don't know, like I'm kind of gagging. So the first Sim that I created was the mother, naturally so. I decided to name her Andromeda after the Greek goddess / constellation. I went with this name mostly based on vibes alone. I was like, you know what, she looks like her name could be Andromeda, so I went with that. And it's actually quite funny that I did name her Andromeda, because during my research I found out that Andromeda like roughly translates to mindful of husband, which is funny as fuck, you know, considering that she literally hates her now ex-husband and men in general. You know, she's very hedonist, you know, she's that type of girl, and I love that for her, honestly. I mean, because like once a man screws you over, like you'll literally understand why some women just hate men. Like, all right, me too, girl. But anyway, back to the Sim herself. I did like a kind of muted / monotone color palette for her because, well, that's the vibe that I was going for, you know. Like when I was picking out her skin tone, I was like, I want her skin tones to like sort of kind of like give like a neutral / like cool tone. I could have did a cool tone skin tone, but honestly I just went with neutral because like the cool tone skin tones in this game are kind of iffy as hell. But yeah, that's the vibe. And also like her color palette is like mostly grays and beiges, and I feel like that kind of reflects how she feels about men, you know? So the duality of that is like really gaggy, if you ask me. But anyways, let's move on, because I could honestly talk about Andromeda just like by herself all day, because like she has this beauty, this grace, this very much elegance to her that's just like so old Hollywood. Like it's just like her hair, the red lipstick, her piercing blue eyes, the makeup. Like I'm so obsessed with her. It's unhealthy, really. Let's get into the next member of this family, aka Cal Griffin. Also, I just realized that I did not give Andromeda's last name. Her last name is Grant. I thought that was very cute. I thought it was very, you know, old Hollywood basically. So yeah. Cal is your very typically douchebaggy type of guy. I decided to go with the name Cal as well because like it just sounds like such a douchebaggish name, so yeah, that was the vibe. I also considered naming him Steve as well, but it felt more like office jobby, so I went with Cal instead. So basically the whole premise with Cal is that he seems like a very well-rounded guy, you know, appearance-wise, but underneath that fucking sweater, he's very deceitful. He's very womanizing and also very narcissistic. Overall, Cal is just like the kind of guy who drives people away because of his actions, and that's the catalyst for Andromeda's wine mom persona / archetype / cliche type of such. And now comes my favorite Sim within the household. And can you guess why he's my favorite Sim in this household? If you guessed because he's on the alt scene, you would be correct. Okay, yeah. I'm not for certain if this is with every wine mom, but with this wine mom in particular, for my queen Andromeda, she does have a son. And she doesn't necessarily hate her son per se, but I guess it's like kind of a latent type of thing, you know, manifest versus latent. She has a very latent disdain for her son. Maybe not a disdain, but like this sort of resentment, I guess you could say, because her son just reminds her so much of her ex-husband, so it's kind of hard not to feel a certain type of way towards him. I decided on the name Percy after doing my research on Andromeda, and I found out that she has a son named Perseus, so I felt like Percy was a very like faithful adaptation of the name. And if I'm not mistaken, the name Percy is of Greek origin, which probably kind of derived from the name Perseus. So next I want to talk about how Percy ties into the storyline. So basically, Percy just like pretty much hates his dad. He hates that his dad up and left and cheated on his mom and just, you know, pretty much ruined everything. Andromeda will most definitely say things like, "Oh, you look so much like your father. I hope you don't turn out like him." And trust and believe me when I say this, saying stuff like that to kids really gets into their head. It's obviously very unfair to be compared to a whole other person when you're your own person. That diminishes who you are and that makes you feel less than. The fact that this happened to Percy throughout the course of his life is what caused him to kind of be more rebellious as he grew older and to, you know, try and change his look almost kind of drastically. That's why he has the piercings, the eye makeup, stuff like that, because he just wants to look less like his dad. So that was the entire storyline. I do hope that you guys like what I tried to do here with these Sims. Basically, with any storyline, almost each character ties into one another. So yeah, there's that. It's pretty typical of the wine mom trope. You know, the dad did something bad, so the mom hates the son for it, yada yada yada. But yeah, I really love these Sims. I love what I did here, and I'm just overall really satisfied. And you know what? I'm so satisfied to the point where I'll put them in my personal save file just to like play with them here and there and see how their story turns out. But anyways, I do hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Hey, you ever been picked up and just got dug out?